Hello and welcome to the MLB DFS Slate Breakdown for Thursday, May 16th. We are here. It's a Thursday and we actually have a show. We got a 5-game slate today to go over. And I think it's an interesting one. We have some pitching decisions to make. Now, we will go through the perfect lineups from yesterday, the winning lineups from yesterday, starting pitchers to consider for today, as well as stacks. But before we do all of that, I want to bring your attention to the app stores, both iOS and Android. Go through there. If you have never tried us before, you can get a free 7-day trial. Now, go do that. Come join us. Come get access to everything we got here. You do get access to both web and apps with your subscription, so it's a great deal. You can use us on the go. You can use us when you're on your computer. You got us in all the spots you need us. Now, let's get into the slate. Let's get into the perfect lineup. And we got Framber, who absolutely went nuts. Of course, yesterday, the major chalk pitcher comes through after multiple days of not coming through. We got the Cubs, a 2-man Cubs stack, then one-offs, and the winning lineup went to G. Nichols, who won by like 3 points, with the Framber pitcher, a 4-man Cubs stack, 2-man Yankees, 2-man Boston, so 4-2-2 was your lineup construction. Congrats to G. Nichols, or Nicholas. Get over to DraftKings. We had Javier Assad. I got to bring up, talk about Assad a little bit here. Since like June 27th of last year, he has the best ERA in baseball. Now, I still think he's due for some major regression because that FIP is much higher, but it is something to bring up. The fact that he just keeps getting it done is a little interesting. He did great versus the Pirates yesterday, and congrats to him because he keeps it rolling. Framber Valdez, the other pitcher, 3-man Angel stack, 2-man Cubs, and then some one-offs with the winning lineup going to JBC, 150K, 5-man Angel stack, 2-man Texas, 1-man Yankees. So once again, a 5-2-1. Every day this week, the DraftKings lineup construction has been 5-2-1. They got it done. The thing that is wild to me about this one, how much he won by. 24 points. 24.7, whatever. He absolutely crushed it. Congrats to JBC. You had this one lineup that just went absolutely ham. Congrats to you. Now, let's get into the slate. So, as I mentioned, we got some pitching decisions to make. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 pitchers, all going high owned. The other 4 kind of afterthoughts in this situation. So, Justin Steele, 7.3K, 2x value, solid alert score, decent alert score. I'm definitely interested in Steele. The reason being, look, so far this year, he hasn't looked great. He has 3 starts, hasn't worked past 74 pitches, which is worrisome. I would expect him to be able to get into the mid-80s in this spot, though. But the thing is, 3.28 FIP over the last 20 starts. Comes with a 26% K rate, while Pittsburgh is striking out at 29%. I think Steele is in an interesting spot here. Pittsburgh does hit the ball hard versus lefties, but if he can miss some bats, which he's much better at home, and we got wind blowing in, I think it's interesting. I do have to bring up the fact that he did face Pittsburgh just last week. Gave up 6 runs, got shelled in 4 innings. So I do like Steele. But there is absolutely some apprehension and absolutely some reason to fade him in this spot. I don't think you have to go all in. However, he is one of my favorite pitchers in one of the best spots for today. I will be taking some swings. Maybe, the fact that he just got shelled by them and his ERA over the last month being 6.23 will take some people away. Ownership comes in a little lower. No clue what ownership actually comes in, but definitely intrigued. I think that 7.3 price tag for a pitcher of his caliber is just too low. Tyler Glasnow, clearly the best pitcher on this slate. He's done it for a long time. He's done it for a short time. He's doing absolutely amazing this year. 2.61 FIP over the last 20. 2.43 FIP over the last 5 starts. Guy is pitching unreal. The K rate is unbelievable. 34% and 32% over the last 20. The spot is good. Cincinnati strikes out a lot. They are a decent offense, though, are a little bit pesky, have a solid ISO. They can steal some bags. And I'm interested. I'm probably going to have a lot of him. He's my favorite pitcher on the slate, and I think his projection should likely be higher than only 2 or 3 points higher than Jared Jones. So 2.19 points higher. I think it should be a little bit more of a difference for Glasnow than everybody else here. So interest in Glasnow. He's my favorite spot. Next, Taijuan Walker is absolutely the guy of the 3 highest owned that I like the least. Reason being, FIP of 5 over the last 5 starts. FIP of 4.47 over the last 20. K rate, 18% over the last 20. 17% over the last 5. Ton of fly balls, 46% fly balls. However, I do have to say, fly balls aren't as much of a factor in this game with the wind blowing in and cooler temperatures. The ball is more likely to stay in the park with that situation. So, I'm not leaning into that as much as I could on this slate. But all in all, I think he is by far the worst pitcher of those 3 and really of the top 4, with Jared Jones being next. Jared Jones has been outstanding this year. A rookie with a 2.7 ERA, 3.58 FIP, 30.6% K rate. It's pretty unbelievable. Looks like he's here to stay. Do have to bring the fact up, just like Justin Steele. He faced them a week ago, 87 pitches. He's been outstanding. Winds blowing in this spot, and I'm definitely intrigued by them. I do have to bring up that the Cubs are decent versus righties. Decent ISO, decent WOBA. I like Jared Jones, but for good reason. He's definitely less owned than Glasnow or Steele. Christian Javier, I am not big on. 1, A's have been hitting the ball very well. 2, 5.17 FIP, 5.14 over the last 20. K rate, 22.6 over the last 20. And the thing that's really interesting to me is his K rate has just been falling off a cliff. 16.7 over the last 5. The season before that, he actually could strike guys out, or it would be 2 seasons ago. I don't know what has happened to him, but he's now allowing a ton of fly balls, or a ton of line drives, ton of hard contact. I just don't love the spot for him. And I'm probably not going to go here much. Zach Lytle. He is a guy that I've been using somewhat frequently for DFS. I think his profile is interesting. 2.84 FIP, 3.49 over the last 20. I think his short-term form, he's been getting a little lucky, and I would expect some regression there. But I like him. 40% fly balls, winds blowing in today, so it's not quite as big of a deal. But limiting hard contact, I am intrigued to go to Lytle. He was one of the lower-owned guys that I like a decent amount, 24.5% combined K rate. Quintana's been bad. 5.11 FIP over his last 5. StatCast data is good at least, though. The big thing here is he has been way worse away, averaging 45% less fantasy points away, and the Phillies' offense has been crushing lefties. So Quintana, not in a great spot. Joey Estes had a great game last time, only 61 pitches. I got to bring up the fact that it was only 61 pitches. He's not here for a long time. So be a little wary of that. He did pitch very good, but I do have to say that he's been getting some hype as being a very good pitcher. But if you look at his minor league data, it's not that enticing. He has allowed a lot of home runs in the minors. When he's came up to the majors, he's allowed a lot of home runs. So I don't love the spot for Estes. I think Houston bats are very interesting. Criswell. Now, this is a spot that I could see you going. He has been pitching well lately. He is up to 79 pitches. He is probably going to stick around there, but we have multiple pitchers like that. He's only 6.8 K, 3.75 FIP over a 1.66 ERA, so he is due some regression here. But I'm definitely a little bit intrigued with a 25% K rate over that time. He's a young pitcher, so when I see, jumps up in K rate with the younger guys, I tend to believe it a little bit more. Do I think he has a 5% more K rate? No, but it's enough to be intrigued in this spot with a 25.2% combined K rate. And Sutter, he's just an opener, so I'm not going there. But Criswell is the one super low owned guy that I would consider. Now that we've talked about every single pitcher, let's get over to FanDuel. All right, so we got Glasnow, Steele, Jared Jones is the three highest. No surprise there. Lytle is definitely on the board for being a pivot, as well as Criswell, if you want to go there. 3.7x for Criswell is right around, where the other guys are that are coming a little higher owned. Clearly, the best option in my eyes are Glasnow and Steele based on price, but I do like Jared Jones quite a bit. Javier, I'm not going to Javier. I know our projection is liking him. We have him at 4.1x, but I feel like it is fairly risky, especially with how he's been striking guys out. I mean, 6 Ks is his high this year. It was versus New York, though. I just have a hard time going there. So, of these guys, he is probably the one I would be fading from our projection standpoint. And let's get into some stack attacks. And we will start with ceiling because I'm there. All right, highest ceiling, we got the Dodgers. No surprise, it is a bullpen game. One thing that I do have to say about bullpen games is I think the fantasy community flows to them a little more than they should. The reason I say that is because every relief pitcher that comes in is coming in at a beneficial spot for them. So based on the analytics, the hitter they're going against, or the hitters they're going against, the splits are going to be a little bit more in the favor of the pitchers than the hitters. And so I think it tends to lean a little bit more away from those type of stacks. Now, the Dodgers are a different beast. They just are a crazy good offense, but they're so pricey, it's going to be hard to get, especially if you're getting stacks like Betts, Ohtani, Smith, Hernandez, Muncy. No surprise that those 5 have the highest ceiling on today's slate. Get into some other stacks, and we got Oakland and Philadelphia popping up. Both of those I am super interested in. Now let's get over to the highest owned stacks. I imagine Dodgers are going to be there a little bit, as it is Houston. Fully on board for this. I think Houston's in a very good spot. Philadelphia's in a good spot. I talked about Joey Estes a little bit ago. I do think the 6.92 FIP is not necessarily where he would be. I think he's more like a mid-4 FIP guy. So he's decent. He's league average-ish, but he does allow a lot of home runs. So he can get into big trouble quickly. And highest projection now, we got the Dodgers. Once again, it is, this almost 30K stack that is kind of untouchable, where you just can't really get much else in your lineups. Philly's popping up a little bit. I think Philly's interesting. We have them at a 2x value, so a better value with a solid projection than the Dodgers, which I do find interesting. We also have Philly popping up at 2.1x, 2.2x. So Philly is definitely pretty interesting in the spot versus Quintana, who they just crush lefties, and Quintana hasn't been that good this year. So definitely an intriguing spot. And then our highest value play for the day is Oakland, which I find expected. I think they're in a great spot versus Christian Javier. Christian Javier has not been good for a year and a half now. So picking on him makes some sense. I do have to say, if it looks like Oakland's ownership is getting out of control, maybe come off him a little bit, because Javier can put together some good games. He just hasn't been doing it consistently lately. So I do like the Oakland stacks, but if that ownership gets out of control because people are trying to pay up for pitching, then I might back off Oakland a little bit. Mets are popping up a little bit against Walker. I don't mind that. I think the Mets are a pesky offense that can get it done. And Walker's just, right around an average MLB pitcher. He's nothing special. Boston popping up against Lytle a little bit. I don't love it, but they do have some cheap bats that can kind of get it done. So I understand why they're popping up. Ceiling we talked about. Let's go to FIP here. And probably going to be Joey Estes. Yeah, so I don't necessarily agree with that Joey Estes play as being a 6.92 just due to the small sample size of his starts in Major League, but it is of note. Click the teams real quick, see what we got here. So highest implied total, Houston Astros, Dodgers, Philly. All of them are no real surprise. The one thing here is all those offenses are expensive, so you are likely, if you stack those, to have a steal glass now. That is going to be a very, very similar lineup construction. It might be a situation where you need to get a little different with one of those pitchers if you want, Houston, Dodgers, or Philly. Other kind of stacks to consider. I think Oakland's interesting. Mets are a little interesting. Both of them have poor bullpens, so you can get to them a little bit, as well as, I think Mets and Oakland are your two lower owned, lower implied total ones. Now, that'll do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow with a big boy slate. But for now, good luck on the 5-gamer. Let's win some money. Adios. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the video. Helps a ton. Peace.